Constellation Protocols, designing a modular Bitcoin L2 with dynamic and deterministic orbits. Introduction. The need for a modular Bitcoin L2. Bitcoin was designed as a monetary base layer, secure, immutable, decentralized. But as the ecosystem has grown, so too has the demand for transactional velocity, programmability, and financial complexity. These are demands the base layer was never meant to fulfill directly. The Lightning Network emerged as Bitcoin's answer to scalable payments, a peer-to-peer Layer 2 that uses hash time-locked contracts, HTLCs, to enable near-instant, off-chain transactions. It's fast, efficient, and preserves the trust-minimized nature of Bitcoin. But Lightning was built for movement, not memory. It excels at payments, but lacks the native architecture for stateful logic, contracts, lending protocols, modular DAOs, or programmable vaults. To unlock the next stage of Bitcoin-based applications, we need a modular Layer 2 that can support both fluid peer-to-peer value transfer and deterministic smart contract zones. This is where the Constellation Protocols come in, a framework inspired by orbital mechanics, GPS constellations, and systems coordination, applied to Bitcoin Layer 2 architecture. Constellation Protocols propose a new way to structure Layer 2. Dynamic satellites, like Lightning nodes, orbit freely, enabling sovereign, non-custodial payments. Deterministic satellites, like smart contract zones, remain fixed, enabling composable applications. And between them lies a programmable interface, the DockingLink, a trust-minimized interlock that lets users access contract-based services without surrendering custody. Section 2, the constellation metaphor, a dual-orbit architecture. To imagine this new Layer 2 architecture, picture Earth, Bitcoin Layer 1, surrounded by two types of satellites. 1. Dynamic satellites. These are like the Lightning Network's nodes. They orbit freely, peer-to-peer, exchanging value rapidly and efficiently. They don't maintain state or remember complex rules. They simply relay value between trusted endpoints. Think of them as agile, fast-moving satellites constantly adjusting paths. 2. Deterministic satellites. These are fixed orbit nodes. They maintain specific defined roles, like programmable smart contract vaults, lending protocols, or DAOs. Each one plays a deterministic function in the constellation, similar to geo-stationary satellites that maintain a constant position relative to Earth. These zones don't just pass value, they hold state. The metaphor matters because positioning creates function. Dynamic satellites allow sovereign agility. You can pay, move, and exit freely. Deterministic satellites enable modular services. You can lend, stake, or vote. Just like a GPS system needs multiple synchronized satellites to triangulate precise location, this architecture needs both dynamic movement and fixed coordination. It is this orbital duality, fluid and fixed, that forms the basis of a usable, programmable, Bitcoin-native Layer 2. This dual structure also echoes the Mobius strip insight discussed earlier. When space, movement, and time state are folded into a single continuum, experience emerges. Likewise, when dynamic and deterministic L2 modules are woven together, programmable experience atop Bitcoin becomes possible. Section 3. Sovereignty and Structure. The custodial spectrum. One of Bitcoin's most sacred values is self-custody, the ability to hold and control your own funds without relying on intermediaries. Any Layer 2 design must wrestle with this principle. But in practice, custody is not a binary, it's a spectrum. At one end, you have non-custodial systems like the Lightning Network. Here, users retain full control of their keys and funds. The network is made up of payment channels, opened and closed via Bitcoin's base layer. Lightning enables speed and scalability, but lacks programmability. It doesn't maintain contract state or offer complex coordination tools like lending, vaults, or governance. At the other end, you have custodial services like centralized Lightning wallets, e.g. Satoshi's wallet. These services abstract away the technical complexity, managing channels, liquidity, and routing on behalf of users. The trade-off? Custodial risk. You no longer control your coins, you hold a claim. Between these poles lies a new frontier, hybrid custody. This is where docking links come in. Docking links are programmable trust rails, interlocks between sovereign users and deterministic contract zones. They allow a user to temporarily lock BTC into a contract without giving up control of their keys. It's not full custody surrender. It's contractual constraint. BTC is locked, not lost. This model enables lending, lock BTC as collateral into a fixed orbit lending satellite. Trading, commit to a contract on a decentralized exchange without relinquishing funds. DAOs, stake BTC into voting or reward mechanisms without custodial transfer. By enabling this flexible custody model, Constellation Protocols respect Bitcoin's ethos while expanding its utility. Sovereign wallets can selectively participate in deterministic services without being absorbed into them. You choose when to dock, where to dock, and when to undock. Section 4, Introducing the DockingLink, a programmable trust rail. At the center of the Constellation Protocol framework is the DockingLink, a new primitive for Layer 2 coordination. DockingLink is a programmable interlock between a sovereign BTC holder and a deterministic smart contract zone. It doesn't move custody. It doesn't require trust in an intermediary. It simply locks BTC into a predefined state governed by terms both sides agree to, like a spacecraft docking to a station under mutual protocol. You can think of it as a gravitational tether between a moving satellite, user wallet, and a fixed station, contract module. A crypto-legal handshake, opt-in, auditable, time-bound, and revocable. A trust rail, not a custodial surrender. DockingLink enables trust-minimized lending, lock BTC into a lending module where terms are enforced deterministically. Repayment, interest, and liquidation are defined at entry. Modular DAOs and vaults. Dock your BTC into a governance zone or a treasury vault. Your funds remain sovereign, but act within preset contract logic. DeFi interactions without leaving Bitcoin. Bridge into stablecoin liquidity, yield modules, or staking pools, all while maintaining a tether to your native BTC position. Unlike traditional DeFi systems, mostly built atop Ethereum, which require full asset custody and risk rehypothecation, DockingLink contracts are designed with constrained scope. They honor Bitcoin's finality and avoid overreach. Just like a GPS satellite timestamps its position relative to Earth, a DockingLink anchors each contract interaction to the Bitcoin base layer, ensuring clarity of state, accountability, and reversion paths. Section 5, Coordinating the Constellation, Design Patterns and Taxonomy, Satellite Types and Architecture Overview. Let's break down how the system works, functionally, modularly, using the satellite analogy as a design pattern. Each component in this Layer 2 system plays a specific role, just like different kinds of satellites serve distinct purposes in Earth's orbit. We're using this model to create a modular, predictable coordination layer around Bitcoin without compromising Bitcoin's base layer simplicity or security. We categorize the Layer 2 nodes into two main types, dynamic and deterministic. Slide, key satellite types. First, let's look at the satellite layer itself. We have several classes of satellites, each with a specialized function. 1. FreeSats. These are dynamic, free-moving satellites. Think of them like lightning nodes, agile, sovereign, capable of routing payments or peer-to-peer interactions without anchoring to any one smart contract zone. They're lightweight, they move fast, and they prioritize flexibility over permanence. 2. Anchor sats. These are the deterministic satellites. They hold state. That means they're responsible for contracts, balances, and programmable logic, things like vaults, DAOs, or lending systems. They're not designed to move around. They're stable, reliable, and purpose-specific. 3. Loan sats. These are specialized anchor sats that manage lending contracts. You dock Bitcoin into them, and based on terms you've agreed to, like collateral ratio, interest, and duration, the system enforces lending behavior without requiring trust in a third party. 4. Vault sats. These are treasury or token modules. Think stablecoin systems, multi-sig treasuries, or programmable escrow systems. They offer deterministic contract logic for assets, often for collective use or governance purposes. Earth interface nodes. Now let's move to the interface between Bitcoin, Layer 1, and the Constellation, Layer 2. You've got two key roles here. 1. Earth port. This is the gateway. It's the point where Bitcoin enters the constellation. A user decides to lock Bitcoin on-chain via a time lock or multi-sig, and that BTC is now visible, verifiable, and usable in the Layer 2 system. Think of this like launching a payload into orbit. 2. Re-entry node. This is the return path. It's where users take their Bitcoin out of the constellation and bring it back on-chain. You can close your smart contract, fulfill your obligations, and the BTC is released back to your L1 address. So the overall idea is this. We don't have one big monolithic layer 2. We have a constellation of nodes and modules, each doing a specific job, each accountable for a specific scope. Some of these satellites, like FreeSats, are dynamic and peer-to-peer. Others, like AnchorSats, VaultSats, and LoneSats, are deterministic and designed for stateful logic. The operators of these modules could be fully sovereign users, custodial services, e.g. Lightning wallets, or multi-sig collectives, e.g. federations or DAOs. What matters is role clarity. Each component has a defined function, scope, and risk profile, which means users know exactly what they're opting into, and developers know exactly how to reason about system behavior. This modular breakdown is what gives Constellation Protocols their power. We don't need to reinvent Bitcoin. We just need to build clearly defined, interoperable modules around it. The DockingLink in action. When a user wants to engage with a lending contract, LoneSat, they initiate a docking link from their FreeSat wallet. The docking link defines the terms, amount, duration, collateral parameters. While the BTC is locked, the user retains sovereignty. No one else can move it arbitrarily. When terms are fulfilled or contract ends, the docking link releases the funds. By modularizing roles in this way, the constellation becomes more navigable, auditable, and secure, much like how real-world constellations use distinct satellites for GPS, weather, or communication. The key design principle is functional modularity. Each contract zone should be clear in its purpose, limited in its authority, and interoperable via docking links. This enables ecosystem composability without compromising Bitcoin's foundational integrity. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 6, Use Cases. What this makes possible. Constellation protocols are not just theoretical. They unlock practical, high-value applications for sovereign BTC holders who want more utility without sacrificing core principles. Here's what becomes possible when docking links and orbital zones are integrated. Trust-minimized lending. Sovereign users can dock BTC into LoneSat modules, borrowing against it without selling. No rehypothecation, no black box risk. Smart contract logic handles loan terms, repayments, and liquidations. BTC never leaves your custody. It's just bound by a cryptographic promise. Decentralized trading and market making. Dynamic traders can commit funds to DEX modules anchored within AnchorSats. A docking link locks their BTC into trading pairs, enabling order books or AMMs without centralized custody. This supports real Bitcoin-native liquidity infrastructure. Composable DeFi modules. Users can interact with multiple deterministic contracts, staking, yield vaults, bridges, all linked via modular docking links. Each module specializes in one function, creating Lego-like stackable systems, composability without custody trade-offs. DAO participation and governance. Dock BTC into voting vaults, GovSats, to participate in decentralized governance. Your BTC remains sovereign, but your vote counts. No need to wrap or reissue Bitcoin. Just dock, vote, undock. Programmable vaults and time locks. BTC can be locked via docking link into VaultSats that enforce specific behaviors, delayed spending, inheritance modules, or even multi-sig coordination. Users can build personal financial logic, autonomous, programmable, and trustless. These use cases have one thing in common: modular trust. Users don't surrender control of their BTC. They enter into narrowly defined docking links with clear scopes and endpoints. It's DeFi without the deplatforming risk. It's smart contracts without leaving Bitcoin behind. Section 7. Trade-offs, tensions, and design constraints. While Constellation protocols offer a promising new architecture, they are not without trade-offs. Designing a system that balances sovereignty, programmability, and security requires careful attention to tensions baked into the model. Custody versus programmability. The more you want programmable behavior, lending, governance, composability, the more you must introduce constraint, often mistaken for custody. Docking links are a middle ground, but they still bind assets. Tension. How do you bind BTC without owning it? Flexibility versus determinism. Lightning provides high-speed, peer-to-peer freedom, but freedom comes at a cost. No memory, no state. Deterministic zones enable complex apps, but require structure. Can we design zones that are flexible enough to be useful, but strict enough to be trustworthy. Transparency versus privacy. Fixed orbits, anchor sats, may need to reveal information, balances, states, or rules, but Bitcoin users value privacy. Tension. Can contract zones publish proofs, e.g. ZK-based, without compromising user sovereignty? Dynamic versus geostationary design. Not all services need fixed orbits. Payment routing can remain dynamic, while lending and DAOs demand determinism. Tension. How do we define which satellites are free-floating, free sats, and which must be anchored, anchor sats? Liquidity fragmentation. Modular systems can lead to siloed liquidity, especially if docking links are too isolated. Tension. Can we create inter-satellite liquidity paths that preserve modularity but reduce friction? Constellation protocols don't eliminate these tensions. They make them explicit and give you architectural levers to manage them. That's the core strength of the design. It doesn't pretend to have one-size-fits-all answers. It offers a navigable constellation of choices. Section 8, Future Implications and Protocol Expansion. If Constellation Protocols become the new standard for Bitcoin Layer 2, they could redefine how sovereign money interacts with smart systems, not just within Bitcoin, but across the crypto ecosystem. Interconstellation bridging. Docking links could evolve into cross-chain trust rails, allowing sovereign BTC to participate in Ethereum, Solana, or ZK rollup ecosystems without custodial bridges. Anchor sats could be replicated across chains, with Bitcoin as the gravitational center. Autonomous economic zones, anchor sats could serve as economic enclaves, programmable modules with their own rules, tokens, governance, or incentives. You don't fork Bitcoin to create a new sovereign domain, you dock into one with clear boundaries. Composable, layered finance. Docking links could be layered recursively. Vault sats dock into loan sats, which dock into treasury sats, forming nested financial modules, each with constrained scope and provable state. Verifiable Bitcoin applications, VBTC apps. A new category of apps could emerge, built on Bitcoin, not over it. These apps would use Bitcoin native primitives, multisig, taproot, DLCs, plus docking links for logic execution, no wrap tokens, no sidechain baggage. Global standardization of docking protocols. Just as ERC20 became a baseline for tokens, docking link schemas could become a standard for modular Bitcoin interactions, doc request template, lock state commitments, termination and exit clauses. Imagine wallets, DAOs, DEXs, and services all speaking the same docking language, interoperable and auditable. In this model, Bitcoin doesn't compete with smart contract platforms. It becomes their base reality. The gravitational constant, the settlement layer, the hard money underlayer upon which soft logic can be safely and modularly built. Conclusion, the vision of an orbital Bitcoin economy. Constellation Protocols offer more than just another Bitcoin Layer 2. They propose a new mental model for how decentralized systems can coordinate. Movement plus memory, sovereignty plus structure, agility plus accountability. By adopting an orbital framework, free-moving nodes like Lightning preserve Bitcoin's ethos of personal control and peer-to-peer freedom. Deterministic zones enable the programmability needed for lending, DAOs, markets, and beyond. Docking links form the connective tissue, enabling sovereign BTC to participate in contracts without surrendering its soul. This architecture mirrors the physics of our world. Just as satellites orbit the Earth in synchronized harmony, Layer 2 systems can orbit Bitcoin in functional alignment. Just as the Mobius twist transforms space and time into a single surface of experience, docking links unite the fluid and the fixed into programmable motion. Bitcoin doesn't need to change. It needs better scaffolding. Constellation Protocols provide that scaffolding, a modular, memetic, mathematically anchored vision for expanding Bitcoin's utility without compromising its foundations. This is not about reinventing Bitcoin. It's about extending its gravitational pull into programmable space, securely, predictably, and on your terms.